Hello everyone, Cindy Saddleman here once again with a brand new review. I shouldn't say brand new because this has been out for about a month and I've kind of forgotten about it and just never really did a review on it, mainly because it had a preview show before the new year. So I didn't really feel a need to talk about it, but I kind of do want to talk about it, so I will. Debuting in January of 2024 over in the good old Australia for the Nine Network, Tipping Point Australia. Now, I love Tipping Point. I think it is a fantastic show. For those that grew up in like the 70s and the 80s, you had game shows that, especially in the States, that revolved around a big thing. Like you had the Joker's Wild, which is a big slot machine. Um, for a bad one, you had the Magnificent Marble Machine, which was a gigantic pinball machine. Hollywood Squares, a gigantic tic-tac-toe board. The pyramid, the big pyramid thing in the back center of the set, and all of that fun stuff. So Tipping Point kind of harkens back to that time with a gigantic coin pusher that you would see in your local Dave and Buster's and stuff like that. I just find it fascinating as a show. Now, this is based off of the UK show that is currently in its 14th or 15th series. Man, I'm getting old. And I'm only 38. I can imagine what everybody else is saying. Some people who watch this channel are in their 40s and 50s and are like, you're not old. You're barely even young. Where was I? Oh yeah, Tipping Point Australia. Todd Woodbridge is the host of the show, and he is a former professional tennis player. I don't know if he's won any majors. He probably has won like an Australian Open or two at the tennis center or something along those lines. Probably does commentary right now. I didn't really look too much into his backstory. But what I do know about the show is that he hosts it pretty damn well. He's not like a Ben Shepherd in the UK. He is his own guy. And he does have nice rapport with the contestants. He knows what he's doing on the show. And that kind of helps because Tipping Point Australia has a lot more things that differentiate itself from the UK show. For the biggest example is that normally audiences on the UK show are reserved for their celebrity shows, i.e. Lucky Stars. In Australia, they just have it. And plus, it also helps build up more tension in the bonus game when they have somebody, when the winner has somebody in the audience, and they could talk about both of them what they're going to do with the $20,000 if they win it. That's another thing that's changed. Is the top prize is 20,000 Australian dollars. I think that translates to roughly 10,000 British pounds. I mean, it might be more than 10,000 British pounds depending on how bad the economy is taking over there in England. And that just kind of goes to show you that countries are going to adjust the grand prizes, and it's good that they do that. And and that kind of coincides with a lot more changes that Tipping Point Australia made. UK doesn't really have graphics to differentiate rounds. The Australian version does, and they look okay. And when you start out with the first round, they call it Bank Builder. It's the same like the UK version, but with one big exception. If you buzz in, you get a question wrong, that counter that you lose does not go into a penalty pot. It just goes away. It's a wasted token. Or a wasted counter. And I'm kind of stunned by that. That is, I guess it's to keep the show going because it has less time than the UK version. It has about 45 minutes compared to like the 48, almost 50 minutes that the UK version has. Although I have seen episodes on YouTube where It is about the same time, so who knows? Maybe the show will be sped up even more when when audiences get used to the rules. So probably in about 6 to 8 months if the show lasts that long. Then you have the the quickfire round, which is round two. Now, currently in the UK, it is 45 seconds, but it's only 30 seconds, like the old episodes in the UK in Australia. So, on average nowadays for round two in the UK, you could get about 4 to 6 counters. And that really helps out because if you have 4 counters and both your opponents are ahead by about 1,000 pounds and you can't get enough counters over the tipping point with a doubler and can't catch up, those tokens can easily be had to get a mystery token so you could at least walk away with something. And I think that's what's happening. That's something I kind of want to see happen in the Australia version. Have it be 45 seconds, so if a contestant can't catch, like if they have like 2-3 tokens left and there's a mystery counter on the bottom shelf, they could go for it and at least walk away with something. And the prizes that they have on Tipping Point Australia, they're like $2,000 prizes. So if you're not walking away with the 20,000 or walking away with any money whatsoever, you can at least walk away with a decent prize. So that's something really cool. Lowest score gets eliminated after quickfire, and then head-to-head is also changed. Instead of 3 questions each, it's only 2 questions each. So it kind of makes it very important to have a really good bank builder and a really good quickfire. To be perfectly honest, if you are leading by about 2,000, if you have a big lead, like about a $1,500 lead, you could salt it away with just 1 counter and getting a decent drop. And that's happened before. The final round also has changes. Instead of 6 question categories, there's only 5. So whereas the maximum amount of counters you can get for the bonus game in the UK, it is 18. In Australia, it is 15. So it is harder to win. But as Todd said on episodes just a couple of weeks ago, the record is 4, so it can be done with 2 questions. On average, it takes about 9 to 12, so you need 3 to 4 correct answers with 3 counters in order to have a shot. Which also leads up to what I think is the most creative addition, which they've beefed up the temptation at the end. If it's close, if the jackpot counter is close to the tipping point on the bottom shelf, you could go for 3 additional counters for the 20,000, 2 counters for 20,000 plus a trip, or just 1 counter for double, $40,000. And that is something. They also don't really skimp if it's still on the top shelves. Instead of 3 for 20, 2 for 20 in the trip, and 1 for 40, it goes 5 for 20, 4 for 20 in the trip, 3 for 40. But that's rarely offered. And more often than not, contestants will just if it's stuck on the top shelf, they'll probably just walk. On average, a trade-in is about 5,000 to 6,000, which is equivalent to like about an average win on Tipping Point, which is about 2,500 to 3,500. So you're giving up a good amount of money in order to try for 20 or possibly 40,000. So I appreciate the risk. I appreciate it, and I like it, but I kind of don't like it. Um, if it's on the bottom shelf, I would like to see it prove out. I would love to see it prove out. I don't think they, and I can tell from the first 20 episodes, I don't think they do it. I want to see it do it because think about that emotion going through the contestant where I should have taken the trade. I should have given up the 6,000 to go for 20. But you know what? I guess they want to keep it more lighter, and I don't fault them for that. So if you want to watch Australian Tipping Point, if you're in Australia, it's on 9, and it's also on 9 now. So if you can't watch it live wherever you are in Australia, you can watch it on 9 now. Everywhere else, you gotta watch it any way you can. Episodes are on YouTube. I've been able to find them easily. I don't think you're gonna have too much trouble finding them. And the show's really good, so I recommend checking out Tipping Point Australia. It's a different version than the UK version, and it kind of makes me want Tipping Point in the United States a whole lot more. I mean, you can easily do, if you want to do a daytime Tipping Point, you can do it with a $25,000 grand prize. If you want to do like a primetime version, you could easily do it with a $100,000 grand prize, and just copy paste the Australian format if you need it quicker. Or if you don't mind a little more game, then there's always the UK version. So, whichever way works. And I want to see it in the States. I want to see Tipping Point in the States. Might have to change the name because of what some airheads on OAN have done, but eh. Anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you want to see more reviews like that, be sure to subscribe. We're going to have a whole bunch more reviews coming up of new shows, especially this week because we got a couple heavy hitters coming up. We have The Voice coming back, and we have Deal or No Deal Island. Looking forward to that one. Especially with how good we've had 2 versions of Deal or No Deal revivals happen, with the Australian version being really good, the UK version being excellent, and you'll see a review of the UK version when Season 2 happens. I think it's going to happen in the fall. Anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a like. And what are your thoughts on Tipping Point, whether it be in Australia or in the UK or anywhere that you watch Tipping Point? Until next time, I'm Cindy Seidelman. And don't forget, if you want to see the weekend videos a day before they go live, become a Patreon backer at patreon.com/GameShowGumbo. I will see everybody later. Take care. Bye for now.